I hope everybody's doing well. My name is Pascal van Knijff. I am here to talk today a little bit about how we can do more with blockchain, with AI, and with IoT when it comes to ESG, right? So I'll be talking a little bit about that. I'll take about, I think, 10 minutes to go over some stuff, and then I'll go sit in my big red chair that's also here in my little studio. And I'm happy to then talk about some of the things that we've explored together. I will try to get my presentation here right now. And let me see. There we go. And share. Can everybody see my screen, guys? This is always a little challenging.
Yep.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Amazing. Good. Let me start from the beginning and we'll go over it. There we go. I'll stop my video and go over my screen for a little bit. And guys, please raise your hands or ask any questions in the chat if you have any questions. Again, guys, we're talking a little bit about do more with blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things to fuel your digital journey and reach your ESG goals. That is going to be a little bit of my talk today. So anyway, my name is Pascal B.van. I'm the CEO of Future of Trust. I'm located currently in Amsterdam. Unfortunately, like many of you, very close to the home now. I used to travel quite a bit, but now I'm here. Anyway, just to give you a little bit of an idea about myself. I've been in the digital front lines for about over 20 years, makes me feel very old. Our company, or what I've done back in the day, was we introduced the first iMac. I hope you still all recognize this beautiful device. I still have it as an heirloom of my past. It was an amazing time to see how things went. We went from ISDN all the way now from fiber into the home. Besides that, guys, I built the first cloud data center in healthcare. That was also way back. Why did I do this? Because I believe that people needed to work time and place independent, right? I think that's obviously with the cloud. Back in the day, we're still called terminal servers, and we built that way back. Then I interestingly moved to the States and found out and learned about the power of social media. I don't know if any of you guys seen this this tape, but we launched this into social media. Why is social media important? Obviously, when you talk about ESG and when you talk about corporate responsibility, or however you want to keep it, you know, the social part of it's very important. So that's what I've done quickly after. Then this is one of my interesting ventures. This has cost me basically a lot of money, didn't make me rich, but before even Apple and Samsung came out, I believed in the power of wearables and IoT. So some of the other accolades, again, I've worked at some schools, worked with healthcare, worked in the luxury goods, etc. One of the things I currently do as well is I'm the strategy officer with Crypto Daily. Crypto Daily is one of the fastest growing media in the blockchain space. And besides that, we're launching an interesting academy in July of this year. Obviously, it's going to be all online. I think COVID obviously has got a lot of us to rethink ourselves and reinvent ourselves. And that's what we've done with the Cutting Wood Academy. Besides that, I am a very big fan of Paytech. Now, also very interesting when you have call it the touchless or payments. I think interesting thing. And with Index.ai, I help out, provide strategy and guidance moving forward. We've just launched an interesting app called the COVID Checker. I think we've identified, like many of all other people, how technology can help, us to move forward, even in the time of COVID. And then, other than that, I am also part of the Digital Technology Foundation, where we look at digital technology and how that applies to ESG, environmental, sustainable, and governance. And why is that important? What are we doing there? We believe that it's very important to create propositions in this space. Everybody is talking about a lot of things when it comes to ESG, but what does a proposition look like? When do you effectively include governance within your system? And how does that relate and translate to the actual propositions or product propositions that you bring out there? And obviously, what is important? How do you invest in these goals as well? And why do we believe so much in technology, right? Why do we believe technology can be extremely helpful when it comes to ESG goals, but even more goals? Obviously, we see that the technology nowadays is definitely disrupting our day-to-day lives. A lot of people, a lot of things are happening without us even knowing. It goes with the speed of light. We see a lot of innovations nowadays, innovations that are paving the way for many things to come. As you see here, the Amazon Prime Air drones are going to be delivering our goods. I think very soon we hop in a cab and we say hi to a Siri voice or an Alexa voice, and so on. But other than that, we see a very interesting shift when it comes from the old days, almost like we say, where we had the Internet of Information, and also a big change next to the into the Internet of Value, where when we look at AI, when we look at blockchain, and we look at IoT, and how they are basically going to change the way how we live and how we build and how we buy, how we trace food, how we audit supply chains, how we register land, and how we record real estate, or how we consume energy, or even how we protect IP, but also how we vote, and how we license, how we identify ourselves, and how we transact, how we add value, how we consume, how we protect, how we collaborate, how we make money, how we raise funds, how we store value, how we trade, how we pay, and what we see currently, like I shared with you guys a little bit earlier, the thinking within ESG, and I'm going to get some notes here on the back end so you know what I'm doing. Because again, what we've seen, many, in a lot of ways moving forward, and why we're jumping very much on the ESG is that we see that with a lot of these technology and technology advances on the rise, we see a lot of companies that are discovering the importance, again, of incorporating all these technologies, like I said, like AI, like IoT, and blockchain for sustainable practices, right? The biggest companies actually, and I'll go into some more detail there, are looking towards new technologies. The technology and innovations are, like I said, accelerating sustainability. They're also looking to amplify sustainability and even more prioritizing sustainability, right? And let us check out a little bit on how that happens in the in the blockchain. Or let me go a little bit deeper first into when we talk about ESG, what do we mean, right? What does ESG mean? So I think a lot of people, when I say ESG, they say it's impact on the people, the planet, and on business performance, right? I think that instead of looking at the long term or at the short term, it's important to look at the long term. And typically, a lot of people are saying, you know, CRI or which means corporate responsibility or sustainability. And there's a couple of, you know, three things, obviously: ESG, environmental factors, right? They are about the company's impact on the environment, based on the premise that business activities have the potential to create environmental risks. Obviously, we see that that's huge on the agenda with ecosystems, water, air, human health, examples of companies, etc. So when you think about environmental factors, what do we think about? We think of obviously about using energy efficiently, using renewable energies, and I think our previous speaker Michael would be very keen on that era to emit obviously less CAG, managing water and waste, and having responsible practices. I hear a lot of background noise. I don't know if you can mute the. Somebody can mute that. Anyway, the result obviously of positively encompassing environmental factors are not only the fact that you're helping the environment, but also you can decrease costs and improve profitability. Why? Because you're better looking at energy efficiency, right? So if you then go another aspect, obviously, are the social factors, right? So that has to do how you treat and how you value people. Obviously, we see here a caring mother and a nurse, but it really, the social factor is way more than babies. It's also having to do with how you treat and how you have diversity and inclusion policies, right? So there's no discrimination within your company. Safe and healthy working conditions for employees, another huge thing. Labor standards across the supply chains that guarantee, for example, fair wages and human rights, good relations with local communities that give you almost like a social license. And companies also need to report on what they're doing in this era, right? Why? Because the consequence of this is that the business productivity and the moral increases. What does that do in turn, right? It in turn helps you for better increases in your turnover, and also reputational risks are better managed. So it gets easier to work without a lot of the social pressure that you see now, right? And the third thing, obviously, the G stands for governance. What are some of the governance, right? You typically focus on the corporate policies, how you're governing things, and how you take into account the responsibilities, the right, and the expectations of all your stakeholders. And it's clear, obviously, that these interests need to be met. And when you talk about the governance factors, what do I think about? It's about tax strategy. It's about corporate risk management. It's about executive compensation, right? I see, for example, big thing, what happened here in the Netherlands, which I could really appreciate in that aspect, is how the KLM airport, how they are being bailed out, and where they're not taking, at least the Dutch director is not taking any excessive compensation. But also, you know, you look at corruption and bribery and how your board structure is done. Again, these are facts, right? Can go from a basic aligning the shareholders all the way up to really focalizing and talking about things, and also not looking at the financial surprises that are happening from that. So again, if you look at the ideas or how we can apply AI and blockchain and IoT in this matters. I think when it comes to AI, for example, it's not just about predicting and modeling sustainable initiative, but it also has the potential to transform your company reporting processes, right? Um, Also, when the sustainability information flows into the market, it can allow you to search through those large data sets at an unparalleled speed, so to speak. I recently looked at an interesting data discovery online from, for example, Tesla, and how they are looking and how they are adhering to the ESG goals, right? So basically, with AI, we can better understand a lot of the ESG data that is increasingly demand across the board. AI and such provides an opportunity to smartly and analyze mass amounts of the fractured data, right? And also looking at new pathways you can do for business. When you look at blockchain, another very big buzzword, right? If you see already, it has a huge impact on the energy and financial service. It's redefining. I'm going to some people.
I think it's Mr. Hillard next, or whoever that person is. You need to mute your mic.
Yeah, I've muted you. Sorry. I'll open it up afterwards. Anyway, blockchain, very buzzed about. I run around the world basically talking about, is blockchain a bursting bubble or is it a booming business? And whereas I obviously share that it's a booming business, right? We see a lot of impact it has on energy, on financial services, and it's redefining broken systems and also the consumer security. It's a game changer, I would say, when it comes to supply chain management and offering greater transparency and efficiency, right? I believe blockchain gives a lot of companies, consumers, a potential to track the transaction secure, transparent, and safe, so that suppliers, for example, are adhering to their values, right? I think a very important thing. And last but not least, I'll go back, the IoT, right? It's not a very small, how do I say that, element in ESG. I would say it's one of the most significant technology advancements that we see a lot of impact from within the global economy in the next couple of years or decades. I think that projects can harness a tremendous amount of power and achieve that power, and also when it looks at the sustainable goals and the SDGs that the UN has set forth, right? For example, you can move sustainable development towards a tool of helping improve the quality of life, in different areas in the world, from cleaner cities to better energy. So again, even there, I see a lot of opportunity there for the ESG. So I think, guys, when I look at the world, I've read a very interesting report, and the report basically is from the Enterprise Strategy Group. It's just came out in February 2020, where we see that organization that are adopting these technologies, right? They 80% sees a faster growth in adopting these, and this survey has been done in over 700 companies in 13 countries of the world. Basically, what you see there obviously is by adapting emerging technologies in the field specifically of finance and operations. That's where this study has been done, right? You see that the competitive edge obviously is interesting when you go for 80% growth, right? And when we talk about the emerging technologies that we mentioned here, I'm also talking about digital assistants as well. So some of the key findings, and I think a lot of this, I will mention more than you see here, is, and I'll put on everything there, is that you see that there's an error reduction, right? When you use AI. Out of the, what we've seen there is a 37 actually error reduction. 72% of organizations have a better understanding of their business performance, right? And you see also, and interestingly, and this is with digital assistants, where you see a 36% increased productivity. And when you, another interesting fact is that when you use AI, for example, in the order fulfillment, on average, people have seen, or the companies have seen, an average of order fulfillment reduction of 6.7 days. In addition, applying data to the supply chain, reduced the fulfillment error by 26%. And you see that organizations that are using digital assistants increase their productivity by 28%. That number is not mentioned here, but there's a bunch of numbers I want to go through just to excite you guys. 87% of organizations that are using blockchain have achieved or exceeded their ROI expectations. And there's over 80% that expect to see even more significant business value within the next year. So when you ask the executives, almost 3/4 of the executives, or even more, believe the ability to verify and monitor the supply chain with blockchain will reduce a lot of incidents and fraud.
Hey, Pascal, I'm sorry. I guess your time is over. Someone wrote it in the chat.
Okay, good. I will.
Yeah, and probably just like another host can join, I think, if you not finish this one.
No. What I'll do, guys, because I kicked the other guy out 14 minutes after. I want to adhere absolutely to the time. Wanted to go, obviously, a couple of things. I'll run through it very quickly, guys. When it comes to ESG, very important for all of us is to lead by example. Put your money where your mouth is. I think that's a very important thing. There's an ability for everyone to create unique propositions. Again, and if you want to connect with me, I'll leave this on for the next couple of minutes. You can connect with me through LinkedIn at Knijff. Feel free to send me an email, or my WhatsApp number is there. And guys, I do thank you for the time. Apologies for running a little bit over. And I am very excited to hear and listen the next presentation. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.